All right, folks, we continue. Chapter 31, and one word is simcha, joy. We get into now the joy factor. Well, the Alter Rebbe says there's a double joy now that you can have. What's a double joy? Is because after dealing with your stuff, which ultimately dealing with it, there's some kind of downer that is associated with it that brings you down. Some kind of downer, which is the good of Klipas Noiga, as we learned. But in the end, it's not holiness. Holiness is only about being uplifted, ultimately. Even though there can be holiness in bitterness, that we did speak, but here we're talking about the downer aspect, right? So the fact that now you've dealt with your stuff, you can come to a double joy. One is that you're getting rid of anything that's a downer. And the second thing is joy itself. True joy. A double measure of it. And the Alter Rebbe says that this is the conversation. Remember, in our head, we're always talking. The question is, what's our conversation in our head? What are we saying to ourselves? So the Alter Rebbe says that this would be the conversation at this point. We spoke about previously how you can, try to bring down your negative side. Well, you did that. Bringing down the agenda of your body and animal soul. You want to humble it. Now that that's been accomplished, you don't want. That's not a place to stay. A place to stay is with joy. So you now come to this joy, double joy, as we just said, and the conversation is as follows. Well, indeed, that part of me, the agenda, of the body and the animal soul, which is despicable because it's just self-oriented, it's self-absorbed, right? Well, that's just only a part of me. That's only a part of me. Yet I have literally a part of God in me. And even if I'm the most worthless individual, has this part of God, this spark of godliness within them. The distinction is that it may be an exile. Exile means it's there, but it's not accomplishing. It's not being exercised. It's not being utilized. It's there, right? And therefore, if it is an exile within me, meaning, again, in imprisonment, in a box, that's not being released, so then I'm going to have great compassion on it. I'm going to have great compassion on that part within me. And therefore, I'm going to make my whole aim is to extricate it from its imprisonment, from its exile, and return it, to return her, because the soul is female, to her Father's home, our Father in heaven. In other words, return it, it's the end of our time here. No. Return it to its connection. That I should be completely absorbed in the divine, in the light of God. And therefore, what will that bring me to? Then I'm going to concentrate my aspirations on studying Torah, as we're doing now, and doing mitzvahs. Because using my 10 faculties of my soul, the 3 Chabad, my intelligence and my emotions, to be connected with God, I will indeed be connected with Him. And especially I'm going to devote myself to prayer, because prayer is sort of the emotive part of where I can cry out to God in the desire of releasing my soul that's a part of God, from its imprisonment, from its box, its exile, to release it and connect it with God, with tshuva and good deeds. And that is the idea of returning the soul that is a part of God to its source. Very powerful idea. So, and that's it. It's a short class. The Alter Rebbe is saying like this. It's true that I have this animal soul and body that has its own agenda. Absolutely. I mean, there's a truth, there's a reality to that. But I have something else in me that is what I want to identify with. Even though it's not my first responder, it's not my natural response to any given situation. It's not my godly soul. Why is it not my godly soul? Because it's a part of God that's in me that is, only the righteous, it's their natural inclination. That's not our natural inclination. Our natural inclination is to be selfish. Our natural inclination is to be self-directed. That's our natural inclination. And selfish doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about you and I'm not trying to do good for you. But I'm doing it out of selfish motives because it makes me feel good or whatever the case may be, right? That's coming from the animal soul that has its own agenda. So it doesn't mean you're bad. We're not talking about bad people here. Only wonderful people, especially all of you that are watching. They're only wonderful. But that's not the point. We're talking about to become godly, to become better people, to become what we really can be because we have a part of God in us. So what the Beinoni is now doing is redirecting the focus. Before, the focus was on the animal soul and the body and its agenda, and to humble it, to deal with the failings that it brings me to, because I allow its agenda to emerge. And the Beinoni, it's only a thought, by the way. And the rest of us, it's in speech and action too, right? So now that we've dealt with that, I'm going to now focus on what's my deeper, real identity. And that's my godly soul. It's a part of God. And I'm going to have compassion on it because it's there, but it doesn't emerge naturally. Got to really put effort into it. And therefore, I need to have compassion on it, first and foremost. And that compassion will lead me to do for it, for that part of me. That's a part of God, that it wants to be absorbed in the divine light. And therefore, you're going to concentrate on studying Torah, as we're doing now, on doing a mitzvah, and especially prayer. Because prayer is sort of like that outcry of the soul that wants to be bound up with God, and therefore, it's the opportunity of allowing it to emerge. It's even now when we're studying Torah, but it's not the, I don't know if it's not the same right word, whatever. That's it. Powerful. So we're refocusing now on a deeper part of who we are. Again, after owning your stuff, dealing with what you got to deal with, our shortcomings, our failings, our spiritual failings we're talking about. Spiritual failings in the sense that matters of the spirit, rather than, which is things that I can control, rather than things that are outside of me that I can't control. Dealt with it. That itself, it brings a joy. That now I remove any kind of, there's anytime you deal with things in our lives that need to be dealt with, there's a kind of a downer in it. So I've dispelled that, because now I'm just focusing on joy, because that's the place we need to be. We gotta have joy in our lives. And we're going to continue on this theme tomorrow, God willing. Lama from Toronto. Erica is with us from New York. Mary from Paris. Marjorie from Dania Beach, Florida, Kenneth Boker Tov. And from Brazil, Maria. Donna from New Jersey, Rick. Linush from the Philippines, Andrea from Mississippi, if I remember correctly. Solomon from Chile. Batya, good morning from Montreal. Douglas from Minnesota. Elaine from Georgia. Silas, I think I got that right, from Brazil. Jean from Alabama. David from the Minion. Susanna. Michael from Toronto. Edith. Shalom, Terry. Do I have these in text form? No, sorry. Yeah, no, this is only verbal right now. If you type it out, let me know. I could use it. Maxwell, thank you for joining. I mean, there is the Tanya text, of course, but I'm only making reference to it. I'm not, but yeah, of course, there's a Tanya text. Thank you. Michael from Long Island, Tamar from Philadelphia, Patty, and okay, from the Philippines, Bayo. I don't know if I got that right. Okay. Mary Ellen, thank you. George, shalom. Oops. Excuse me. Okay. From Coram, sorry, from New York. All right, folks. Sharing is caring. Please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others. And a reminder of 1 Minute Tanya that will be up soon on Instagram, Tanya Rabbi, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I'm Rabbi Ron. If I come to you for Chabad Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day.